From one neighbor to another, WCTE PBS is here for you. Coming up next is Live at 5 on WCTE PBS and its streaming platforms to provide updates on communities throughout Central Tennessee.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live at 5 right here at WCTE Central Tennessee PBS. I'm Donna Matson, and I'm your host today. And we have two wonderful guests today, my first being a colleague who joined us in the end of January 2022. So she's a kind of a newbie, but she keeps coming back, and we keep saying, good job, Sarah. Sarah Savage, welcome to WCTE, and thank you for joining me and saying yes to Live at 5.
Well, thank you for having me.
So I want to kind of talk to you about what you're doing here at WCTE.
Well, I'm in the education department. I'm the education and engagement coordinator. So I am working on arranging events. I'm working on fulfilling grants, all with the mission of education and spreading education from a young age all the way up.
Thank you. That's wonderful. So let me ask you, was education always near and dear to your heart, or how did you fall in and know that this was going to be your career path?
Well, I started out in art at Tennessee Tech, and I wound up taking some time off, and I got married, and I had my children. And once I had my children, I got a job as a preschool teacher. And just being a preschool teacher, I felt like I had found what really fit with me, being an educator, even at that level.
So you realized that was your gift?
I felt like it was, yeah. And so I decided to go back to school and get my teaching degree and become an art teacher, because I'd already done the art, and so now I was adding being a teacher. And so I did that for a while, and then I wound up kind of looking for another path to take, and I found this job, thankfully.
So what was it about this position in education that just really caught your eye and you thought, hey, I want to be a part of public media, I want to work in the education department?
Well, when I was in school, I was able to take kind of a field trip, you could say, to WCTE. And when I was here, I just loved it. Our class felt very welcomed in, and I felt like I learned a lot, and I just loved what I was able to pick up from the culture at WCTE. And so when I saw that job, it was actually linked to me from my college professor that I worked with a lot. And so I thought, that's a great opportunity. I'd already been there and felt comfortable there. So.
So you're here.
Yes.
So are you originally from the Cookeville area?
Not originally. I grew up in Smyrna, but I've lived in Cookeville since 2004. So
what brought you to the Cookeville area, if I may ask?
Tennessee Tech. And I do have family here in Cookeville, too, that have lived here for years. So.
Now, you mentioned that you married your loved husband, right?
Yeah.
And how long have y'all been together?
Since 2008.
Oh, 2008. So you like him. He's going to stick around.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good.
All right. And you have a family, you said. So tell me a little bit about your children.
Well, I have two boys. I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. My 12-year-old's name is Jasper. He's in the band. He's a musician. He loves to play games, computer games all the time. And I've got a 10-year-old named Cade, and he is a creator. He loves to create.
So I met Cade, and you can tell that Cade has this creative spirit within him. He was drawing. He was very much... Immediately, you could see the creative side of him.
Yes, I'm proud of both of them.
Oh, as you should be, you should be. So what lesson do you think that you've learned as someone who's been an educator, whether it be in preschool, family of her own, which is a huge job,
Yes.
And then now here, what do you think you've taken away from this and being in school?
Well, it's good to try to find what clicks with you, I guess. I just really did feel like communicating with children. I get so nervous when I'm talking to grown-ups and when I'm talking on camera, but when I talk to children, it just feels like that's what's for me. I feel like I really can make an impact. I love listening to what children have to say to me. it's kind of what my passion is, I guess you could say.
It's interesting that you mentioned something about listening, because I can remember when we were talking about you joining the WCT team, you talked about something that you had participated in as an educator, and it was growth mindset. Can you tell our viewers a little bit what that is?
That's very important to me. That's one of the reasons I wanted to become a teacher. Growth mindset is the idea that I think a lot of times when we grow up, maybe not intentionally, but we get the idea that we're either an art person or a math person or an English person, and that's like the box that we're stuck in. And you're kind of at a set level, and it's not possible to grow. And so the growth mindset is pick anything you want to learn, and if you work at it and try, you can improve, you can grow.
I think that is so, well, it's fascinating to me. And I think that, we often, when we begin our career or even begin to go to school, how many times do you hear the story that, well, I was majoring in this and I changed that, or I started out working in here and I moved to there. So you see that early on with children?
Yes, I do, unfortunately. And I always, in my art class, tried to let them know, like, art it's not like math, you could say. There's no correct answer in art. I want to hear from you and your own personality. I want to hear what you have to tell me, and art is just a way to communicate. So we hope to, Cephas, who's above me in education department.
He's the director of the department, correct?
Yes, he is, and he's an art teacher too. So we have that in common.
Oh, you do have that in common. That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot that.
We've enjoyed working together and hope to include more art kind of stuff and in what we do. But yeah.
We have certainly enjoyed you being a part of the team and joining us, and you have great knowledge, a great way with the kids. You have that creative side to you. You know what I find fascinating about your story, even though it's been brief here at WCTE, is you talked about the opportunity that you had and how it started for you, and how you had a passion and understanding of WCTE because you started out as a volunteer. And we always need volunteers.
Definitely, yes.
So, yeah. So that was a good, positive experience, and you would encourage others to do that?
Definitely, yes. You can learn a lot. Just being around WCTE people is just awesome. Yeah.
And a little bit about the media. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, you have Indie Lens next. Is that what's coming up for you?
That's our next big thing.
So tell us briefly about that. We just have a few minutes of time left.
Okay, we've got 2 more films left in the series. Writing with Fire, which is on Thursday.
This Thursday, which is the 24th, correct?
Yes. Which is it's set in India. It's about journalists in India and the struggles that they're going through. The next one coming up is on April 26th at 6 p.m. It's at Big Tony's Pizza, and it is called Try Harder.
Oh, Try Harder.
And it's about high-pressure education environment for high school students in California.
Yeah. Oh, I bet that's going to be good. Both of them are going to be good. So this Thursday, tell us a little bit, when you say an Indie Lens, it's pretty much a sit-down setting, and you get to watch a little bit of a brief movie, is it? Or what
it is. It's a full documentary, and then for the events, they cut it down to 1 hour to give time at the end for a discussion. And we will pull in experts that are related to the film and have them share their insights on the film and try to bring it to our local level. Like the one on Thursday we have 2 professors from Tennessee Tech who are our speakers, and they're in the journalism department, the communication department.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And we also partner with the Putnam County School System, and that department, the education department, works closely with them. Sarah is a WCT full-time employee, but the person that she reports to, Dr. Cephas, he is kind of shared between WCTE and the Putnam County School System. So these partnerships really work well for us, and I think that you've seen that. So what's the most exciting thing that you have discovered since you've been here at WCTE?
I'm just excited to use what I know how to do in a new way, I guess. I'm excited learn about these events and put on a good event and connect with the community and the larger community. The whole area that we cover.
Well, this is going to be a great week to learn more about WCTE, especially if you're just joining the team, because we have our annual dinner this week.
Yeah, I'm excited.
There's a board retreat for our board of trustees who govern us, so there's a lot going on at WCTE, as there usually is around this time. So we're excited that you've joined us. Anything else you'd like to share about yourself with us?
Well, I'm just really glad to be here. I've enjoyed it so much so far as I've been here. I'm really, really glad for the opportunity.
And how does your family like this new role for you?
They like it too. It's settling in nicely with our life and our routine, so it's good.
Well, good, good. So you keep coming back, Miss Sarah, because you sure are a pleasure to work with, and we're glad to call you colleague.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We're going to go to a few promos and commercials, but you stay right with us because we have more to share with you right here at Live at 5 on WCTE.
WCTE's Great TV Auction is May 31st through June 12th. All of the behind-the-scenes action is underway, and we need your help. Join in on all the fun by becoming a donation solicitor. For more information, please contact Miranda Maynard via email or call 931-528-2222.
The American identity begins when Benjamin Franklin knit the colonies together.
Franklin is endlessly interesting.
Printer, scientist, revolutionary.
The things that he spoke of had a certain amount of power.
He really was an American genius.
My name is Donna Matson, Director of Human Resources and Business Operations with WCTE PBS. Did you know the broadcasting industry in Tennessee is thriving and offers exciting career opportunities? WCTE has immediate openings for your consideration. Benefits include health, dental, vision, life, retirement, sick time, vacation, holidays, and AFLAC. Visit WCTE.org. Come join our team. Welcome back, everyone. We're here at Live at 5, and I've got another great guest for you this afternoon. Her name is Betsy Scarisbrick. Did I say it correctly?
Yes, so you got it.
I got it right. I'm so happy. And you are a reporter, is that my understanding, with 94.1?
Yes, ma'am.
And at times you host there, correct?
I anchor occasionally. I just started doing it. Normally I've only done it a few times. I anchor the morning shows on Saturday. So if you hear me on your radio, it's probably sometime during the weekend.
So I wanted to speak with a couple of ladies, one our newest member of WCTE, and now you, because this month we're talking about National Women's Month.
Yes.
And I kind of was curious, you are a Cookeville native?
No, I'm actually a Charlotte, North Carolina native, and I found my way here about a year ago.
And so what brought you to our community, Cookeville?
So I grew up in Charlotte, went to school there, I was born in Dallas, Texas, moved to Charlotte when I was really young, and then I went to UNC-Chapel Hill, and one of my best friends at UNC, his dad worked with my boss, Larry Stone, in radio, and so they just made that connection, and then I found my way here.
You know, they talk about sometimes that 6 degrees of separation,
yeah.
And isn't it amazing how your paths will cross?
Exactly.
So in school, you took journalism, correct?
Yes.
So you graduated with a degree in?
Broadcast journalism and a minor in dramatic art.
So how did you, at that young age, know within your heart, journalism's where I want to be. I want to be able to be a reporter and report things to viewers, listeners. So tell me how that journey started for you.
Well, I've always been very much a talker. It runs in my family. Yeah.
We have something in common.
And so I've always been a talker. I've been a lover of stories. That's kind of where the theater part comes in too. I like telling stories. I like sharing stories. I like hearing people's stories. And so I kind of fell into the journalism. I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't necessarily know how to go about doing it. So at freshman orientation at Chapel Hill, I actually went in as a communications major, which is kind of different at UNC. Communications is more based on the film aspect and that kind of route.
Oh, really?
And so when I was talking to an orientation counselor, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Here's how I want to do it. Help me sign up for these classes. And she was like, well, I think what you actually want to be in is the broadcast journalism major. And I said, okay. And so I just switched it right there on the spot, and then took Journalism 101, and it just exposed me to all the different aspects of journalism, whether it's, ad and PR, TV news, all that kind of stuff. And so found my way into radio. I decided that was kind of the niche that I wanted, because I dabbled in TV news. I took my PR classes. I took the news photography classes, and radio I just found was bringing it back to the stories was the way that I could tell the stories in the most creative way and the fullest way.
So tell me, when you mentioned something about dabbling in TV media, how you dabbled. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So every UNC student is required to take, X classes for X majors. And so one class that we have to take is the Carolina Week TV, which is the totally student-run news show. And so that was one area where I dabbled. I would put together all the TV packages like you see on TV news. And then I also had an internship in Charlotte at WBTV, where I kind of ran the gamut of what could you do in TV news with anchoring, producing, being a multimedia journalist, an MMJ, and just kind of was figuring my way out there.
So in your current position, you are using your journalistic or writing skills, and you will go to different meetings and then kind of present them in print. Is that how this works?
Pretty much. So our day, myself and Benjamin Armstrong, he's my fellow reporter, we will be making calls all day and trying to get news for our evening newscast, and then we'll go to the county commission meetings, city council, Board of Educations, all across the Upper Cumberland. And then we take what we think is the main story of the meeting, go back, write it up, and what we'll do is have a full web story. And then Larry Stone, my news director boss, he will then, we use what we call like a little broadcast version, which is just a shorter version of the web story that has a little soundbite with the audio in it.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
But I guess the timelines, are they very short, quick turnaround?
Typically, yeah, especially with the meetings, we want to get that information out as soon as possible. If the meeting happens on a Monday, we don't want to report they met on Monday on like a Thursday night. And so sometimes they can be quick turnarounds for sure.
Yeah. So in our little community, we'd call it maybe a little sleepy, but I would call it just a little bit comfortable, safe, cozy, warm. So, but if there is something that breaking happens here, how does that word get to you, and when do you know to go to that story? I mean, what are the parameters of what you will cover and what you will not?
And so that kind of comes to us from the community. We'll get news tips from people in our office, or social media is huge in what we do. We see, we see the press releases. We get emails of press releases. We'll hear, with our stories, we'll hear someone mention at the county commission meeting that this event is happening. And so when it comes to breaking news, we'll get this news tip. And then the great thing about our job is all of the relationships that we foster with community leaders. So we'll call the sheriff or the mayor or whoever needs to be the person called. So we really rely on relationships in that regard.
So our viewers in the surrounding counties, it's pretty easy to build those relationships, but you've got to start. You've got to nurture them and grow. And what do you think has been the challenging part, maybe not being from this area, or does it come easily to you?
I was definitely very nervous, very anxious at first, making my day one phone call when I first started over at News Talk. It was nerve-wracking because I was an outsider. I'm not from the community. Like you mentioned, we're a tight-knit community here in the Upper Cumberland. And people can be just distrustful of the media in general. So you got to break that barrier too, and just kind of prove to the people that you are connecting with, I am reliable, I'm trustworthy, I'm here to help you get your story out and share your story.
So on a typical day, your morning starts and you've got the meetings on the calendar, and then you just fill it in with the other leads, is what I would call them, or come in. you're at a meeting, you hear about something else that's going on, right?
Yeah, and so we have like a storyboard that has all potential story ideas. Sometimes Larry will come up with them, sometimes I'll come up with them, Benjamin will come up with them. We'll see them on social media, we'll get them from the meetings, and then we kind of put all of those into our database, and then that's how we kind of decide, here's what we want for today, this can maybe hold off until tomorrow, all of that kind of stuff.
So I love that you mentioned that this is just you sharing a story with the community. Those are listening, whatever the means may be, whether it be here on the radio. But I tend to write something and I write it again and I write it again. I'm not sure I'd meet the deadline. How do you just make sure that you feel comfortable with it at the end?
It took some time for me to figure out the formula of how to make a successful story and do it in the right way. So it just took practice. It really was about practice, about how to, and a lot of that came from practice from my education. But it just was about, once you start going to, I'd never gone to a county commission meeting before. I'd never gone to a city council meeting before. And so going to those meetings enough and seeing, okay, this is kind of how you do it, and it just kind of has come naturally since then that I'm able to write it really quickly, get the broadcast done, and then edit it at the end.
So has there been somebody, as you've walked through this journey, that has been a great mentor to you?
I definitely would say Larry, first and foremost, has taught me so much just in the year that I've been here. And then it also goes back to professors at UNC. My professor, Lee Meredith, was the one who kind of sat me down and was trying to help me find a job on graduation, because I graduated in the pandemic. I graduated in 2020. And so that was a whole beast in and of itself. And he was the one who's really trying to help me be like, okay, here's the connection I have here. And so a lot of it was just, the people who kind of wanted me to succeed, or the people that I relied on most.
So I asked this question to Sarah similarly, but what would you say during the time you mentioned, hey, I graduated, and it was during the pandemic? Not a lot of people can say that. And it was an unusual, trying, difficult time for many of us. But I can't imagine being in school and getting ready to launch my career. How did you do that? What was the most challenging part?
It was really hard because we went on spring break, came back from spring break, and then we weren't going back to school ever again. Our senior year was done. And so it was a weird time of all of my classes coming together saying, because I was doing the student radio show and the student TV show that semester. And so it was trying to figure out, how do we make a news show when none of us can be in person, when we can't interview people in person? And so that was a really hard time. And then it also was hard just seeing all of my other friends who maybe had gotten a job before the pandemic started, had gotten their job offers in the fall or in the winter. And then I had to move back home. Luckily, my parents let me move back home. But I had to move back home, and I didn't have the job that I wanted, and I didn't have my dream job. And so it was hard in that regard, seeing all of these people kind of not necessarily get their lives started, because the pandemic was still very much going strong. Yeah. And so it was just kind of, seeing everybody else get to do what they want to do, and then I was stuck at home.
So did you learn Zoom quite well during the time?
Oh yeah. Zoom, I had never done Zoom before. I feel like that's true for a lot of people, that no one really knew what Zoom was. I know a couple of my friends had Zoom classes offered before that, but it was few and far between. And so it was just kind of everybody figuring out, okay, do we want to do Microsoft Teams? Do we want to do Zoom? Are we doing Skype? And so I definitely learned.
I've done Microsoft Teams a few times, but Zoom has been our go-to.
Same.
And they used to laugh at me here and saying, you really struggle with this Zoom. Yeah, I really struggle with this Zoom. Betsy, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming to our community.
Absolutely.
Thank you for adding back to it with your storytelling and you being a reporter on 94.1. I hope you'll visit us. I hope we can reach out to you again.
Absolutely.
And we'd love to have you volunteer at WCTE.
Yes.
So thank you. Anything you'd like to say to the viewers before we go?
Thank you all for speaking with me. Every time I give you a call on your phones, you have no idea how I got your number. Thank you for helping me share the news in the community, and we couldn't do our job without y'all. So feel free to go give us a like on Facebook and check us out so we can help share the stories of the Upper Cumberland.
So if they had a story, how could they reach you?
They can call our office, or we have on each of our radio stations' websites, we have a little space where you can do it's community feedback or what have you, or you can message us on Facebook, and you can find us. We'll get back to you.
Oh, I think that's great. So it's 94.1, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Anything else that you'd like to share with us today?
Just thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Thank you for saying yes when I reached out and asked you
Absolutely.
to be on the show today. I've enjoyed meeting you. I enjoyed hearing your story of how you entered into this realm of radio.
Yes, absolutely.
Come back soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sunday on PBS, starting with Around the World in 80 Days.
Whoa. We've been in situations more hopeless than this.
Then, all creatures great and small.
Have you seen much of Helen? Didn't have the guts to tell him.
Followed by Vienna Blood.
I didn't kill him. He was preaching hatred.
It's a night of drama you won't want to miss.
Welcome to your March PBS Passport Update. I'm Josh Deepin with WCTE PBS. This month we have a slew of premieres coming your way, so stick around to hear more about what's streaming. To kick off Women's History Month, WCTE PBS wanted to acknowledge remarkable women in male-dominated fields. The series Kitchen Queens of New Orleans is available for streaming only on Passport. It features female chefs of New Orleans and their culinary mastery. You can also stream the 3-part documentary, Greta Thunberg, A Year to Change the World, as she explores the science of climate change and witnesses the consequences firsthand. General streaming for Around the World in 80 Days expired in February. If you missed the show, just log on to Passport and you'll be able to watch it anytime, anywhere. In the land of premieres, Call the Midwife Season 11 rolls out on March 20th. You can watch the following episode a week before broadcast on Passport only. This is an in-demand show, so fans are certainly welcome to take advantage of this Passport membership benefit. And lastly, spring is right around the corner. Warm up outside and in front of the TV by streaming shows like Nature, where you go beyond the beach to learn about tropical wildlife and exotic ecosystems. If you miss it on broadcast, stream over 10 seasons on Passport. If you are interested in becoming a member of WCTE PBS to access the added benefit of Passport, it's never been easier. Simply type in the URL below, wcte.org/passport, or just scan the QR code using your smartphone's camera. If you are already a member, simply sign in using your credentials to access PBS Passport. That was your PBS Passport update for the month of March. I'm Josh Deepin. As always, happy streaming, and I'll see you next time.
मेरे लिए तो बहुत ही रिस्की है।
तो इन दबंग लोगों ने क्या किया, उसको पत्थर मारकर हत्या कर दी।
औरतों के हाथ में अगर पावर हो तो वो क्या कर सकती हैं?
मेरा दिल हौसला देता है।
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm not sure about you, but I enjoyed talking to our two guests today. One was, of course, a new member of the WCT team, Sarah Savage, who shared her story with us, and also Betsy Scarisbrick, who shared that's why she's got into doing and is a reporter at 94.1. She wanted to share the stories. So I wanted to thank them for coming today and sharing with you. I just want to remind you that on Thursday night, we do have our Indie Lens event. It's at let's see, is it Rare Books, Harper's Rare Books, and it starts at 6 p.m. If you have any questions about any of the events that we have going on, go to WCTE.org, and they'll share everything you need to know. We'd love for you to come and join us. It's at 6 p.m. again tonight, and then we hope that you'll join us next week. We'll have another great program for you at Live at 5. We hope that you'll continue to support us, and the way that you can support us so that we can provide the programming for you is through membership. So if you have any questions about membership and the amount, then we would love to answer your questions. We'd love to sign you up. We'd love for you to be a member of WCTE and help us continue to provide this programming for you. We thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next week, and we hope you have a great weekend. Oh, and don't forget, over the weekend, Sunday, as you sit down for a bite to eat at home, if you missed it, just come in from work, you can rewatch it on Sunday at 12 noon. Thanks again, everybody.
From one neighbor to another, WCTE PBS is here for you. Join us back for the encore on Sunday at noon. A brand new show of Live at 5 will return at 5 p.m. next Thursday. Thank you for watching.